get the fucking information right before he goes and wrecks somebody. And the 6 cars behind me wrecking. Into me, and then he destroys me from 4 back. That
And what's up, y'all? Welcome back to another episode of Historic Hot Laps. This is the second episode of the week. If you didn't catch our episode with Joe Z covering the Christian Horner stuff, please jump over and check that out. Let's kick this one off with our race recaps from this last week. We had the BC39 at IMS. This was kind of like a week and a half ago, but last episode we recorded, it was not complete yet, so we want to talk about the full results. This week we're going to dive into the 7th annual BC39 two-night explosion on the 1/5 mile dirt oval inside turn 3 at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Night 1, BC39 opener, 30-lap feature, $5,000 to the winner. Justin Grant in the number 87 slid up to second, stole the pole early, held on despite intense pressure and multiple restarts, crushing the top lanes to bag a wild 30-lap win. Gavin Miller chased him hard into the second-place position, and Kyle Cummins grabbed the final podium spot. A heated duel between Grant and Dason Pursley saw lead swaps lap after lap before Grant pulled through in the final 2 restarts and gained some distance there. Multiple flips in the heats, including Mitchell Moles and Ethan Mitchell, made for some dramatic visuals going into the main. Top 3, like we said, Justin Grant, Gavin Miller, Kyle Cummins.
I felt like I could run faster laps, like running the top, but I just left myself too vulnerable on entry. And so then I just went to sliding myself there at the end and kind of racing Dason and starting to slide myself, racing him. Yeah, it was crazy there. I kept wanting to get back to slide myself in one and finally kind of get Dason put back away, and I just never could quite get there, and then Gavin kind of drove up through there, and I was able to peel back off across and finally slide myself into one, and then Gavin, I guess, spun out behind me or something there, but and then that, it was like big sigh of relief, right? But also at the same time, it was like a little bit disappointing because we were having a heck of a good race and it was a lot of fun, but it sure made my life a lot easier, and all those guys got tangled up. But and then there at the end, Gavin Miller looked like he was poking the bottom there off of 2, and I really wanted to run the top of 3 and 4. I felt like the slider through 1 and 2 was actually pretty good, but you'd get off of 2 so slow. I just felt like if anybody had a run, they'd slide me down into 3, and I just never really knew what to do down the backstretch into 3. So when I don't know what to do, I just start sliding myself. I figure, well, you can't slide me if I'm sliding myself. I felt like my last lap, I felt like my slider took forever to get across 3 and get to the moisture off of 4, and then you get a little tight. And I thought, man, if anybody was running the top behind me, they're going to drive by me down the front stretch here. And I was like, you probably deserve it for sliding yourself for the last 6 laps.
This puts us on to the champion night, $20,000 to the winner, 30-lap finale. Cannon McIntosh charges from 19th to glory after a qualifying crash and a win in the Elliott semi to make the field. McIntosh launched from the charge from 19th, deepest starting spot in BC39 history, and claimed the victory. His drive was basically just a masterclass in perseverance. He navigated traffic, survived early obscurities, his moves to perfection. So congrats to him on that one. Justin Grant led 36 laps straight before collision with Jacob Denny, sent him airborne and flattened a tire. That wreck dropped him to 12th by the end of the race there. On lap 38, Denny briefly led, but McIntosh executed a nice slide in turn 4 on the white flag lap and seized the lead to the win. Gavin Miller capitalized on the chaos to finish second, and Jacob Denny rounded out the podium in third, giving Keith Koonskerb Motorsports a podium sweep. So congrats to that team. Final top 5, we also had Zach Dahm and Justin Peck there rounding out the top 5. So McIntosh made history, first 2-time BC39 winner, back-to-back after he won last year in a triumphant victory. He banked $20,000 for the win on that one. The prize honors USAC legend Brian Clausen, hence the BC39. Just an all-around awesome event, and can't wait to see what happens again next year with it. So let's slide over to the Indy NXT race at Mid-Ohio. We had IndyCar weekend at Mid-Ohio, Indy NXT Grand Prix. Let's hit the highlights. Qualifying and practice. Dennis Hauger was the man to beat all weekend. He shattered the Mid-Ohio track record, clinched pole in dominant fashion. Already his 6th pole in 8 races this season. Teammate Lockie Hughes showed he wasn't far behind. He edged out Hauger for the top spot in practice 1, hinting that Andretti's dominance was deepening. So let's talk about the 35-lap race with a red flag involved. Dennis led from lights out, sweeping all laps and expertly pulling away after a mid-race red flag. He had a massive crash on lap 4 when teammates Sebastian Murray and Ricardo Escato tangled on the front straight. The crash was brutal. If you haven't seen it on YouTube or on the broadcast or anything like that, check it out. It was wild. The cars went airborne. Red flag stopped everything. Lengthy cleanup ensued after that. Miraculously, both left unscathed, just upset. Scotto vented frustration on the track while Murray walked away with the cheers from the crowd that they were both safe. So when the green flag returned, Dennis Hogger remained untouchable. Behind him, you had Calais, who chased him hard, and Lockie Hughes securing the top 3 position there. So you also had a solid P4 run from Salvador de Alba, and Josh Pearson finished 5th just outside the podium there. So let's talk about what that does for the NXT Championship. Hogger extended his lead significantly. He's now got a 47-point advantage over his teammate, Lockie Hughes, with 6 races remaining. Clay stays solidly in 3rd, adding consistency for his win at Road America, but Hughes, with his 3rd place finish in Mid-Ohio, holds 2nd in the standings, reinforcing Andretti's 1-2 championship podium punch there. Pearson, though off the podium, continues to edge forward with a top 5 streak, so congrats to him on that. Can anybody beat Hogger? Probably not. I guess we'll see, but let's jump over to IndyCar at Mid-Ohio. Let's break down round 10 of the 2025 IndyCar season, the Honda Indy 200 at Mid-Ohio. Alex Palou kicked off the weekend strong, snapping up the pole with impressive laps and extending his unbeaten streak on natural road courses, comfortably set up to add a 7th win to his campaign. Mid-Ohio, which is known to be a Chip Ganassi stomping ground, Scott Dixon has 6 wins here already. It was a scene for notable incidents in practice, including a confrontation between Palou and Will Power, which is typical Power. That guy is just, his attitude's rough lately. I mean, we all know he's great. He's a good qualifier. He's a good driver. He's a champion, a 2-time champion, Indy 500 winner, all that stuff. He's feeling the pressure this year, that's for sure. Everybody on Penske is, but especially him being in a contract renewal season. So let's talk about the 90-lap race, 203 miles. Palou led the opening stint, maintaining a smooth rhythm after pole position. A couple of cautions stirred the field, but Palou stayed in command for much of the 90-lap distance. Around mid-race, Scott Dixon began clawing back, strategic, steady, precise, all the words that described Scott Dixon. Final round of pit stops put Dixon in a sweep position on track, ready to strike late. He was on a two-stop strategy already. On the closing laps, Dixon overtook Palou and surged ahead. Dixon took the checkered flag, Palou in 2nd, and Christian Lundgaard scooping a final podium spot, which I believe is 8 podiums for McLaren this year. So they're getting momentum. It'd be nice if they got a win, I'm sure, but it's hard when you only have 3 winners and 2 of them are on the same teams. Scott Dixon does break that and gets to become the 3rd winner of this season, taking advantage of that spot when Palou made his mistake. You also had Colton Herta in 4th and Pato O'Ward coming in 5th. So that's your top 5 there: Dixon, Palou, Lundgaard, Herta, and O'Ward. So let's talk about what this does to the standings. Palou remains comfortably atop the championship standings now with 386 points, extending his lead to 93 points over Kyle Kirkwood and 111 points over Pato O'Ward. Dixon's victory moves him up to 4th place, tied on points with Felix Rosenqvist, but currently holding a better position on countback with the win, dramatically rejoining a championship contention once again. Kyle Kirkwood and Pato O'Ward remain firmly in the chase, but Palou's buffer now stretches nearly 100 points, so giving him breathing room as the season heads past its midpoint. This was also 21 consecutive seasons that Dixon has won, I believe, so that's pretty wild. The narrative for the season's pretty straightforward. Palou's consistency remains a great weapon. 8 finishes on the podium in 10 races. Still no wins for the Penske Chevrolet camp, so that's pretty rough right now. Dixon, the veteran, he keeps striking, adding to Ganassi's dominance, reminding everyone the classic road course prowess that he has. Kirkwood and O'Ward must find some sort of pace reliability if they hope to prevent Palou from getting that 4th title, but man, he looks pretty unstoppable, right? There's no denying that. So what are we going to watch next? Well, let's talk about Palou needs to maintain fast, clean performance, capitalize on any slip-ups from Kirkwood and O'Ward going into Iowa weekend. Dixon keep climbing toward the championship, or will he fade backwards and end up outside the top 10? I don't see that happening, but anything can happen. And the Penske turnaround on Chevy has to come, right? It's yet to happen, but can O'Ward and McLaughlin put Chevrolet back on top? I mean, the Penske side of it's hard to say. Award in the McLaren Chevrolet might be able to do something, but I don't know. Penske is struggling, without question struggling. So now it's time to talk about NASCAR in Chicago. We'll kick it off with the Xfinity Series. Shane Van Gisbergen, we already know he's the favorite to win, right? He locked down the pole position, putting in a lap of 1 minute 30 seconds, putting him out in front and center of the 50-lap, 110-mile battle around Grant Park there in Chicago. Defending the weekend sweep on both Xfinity and upcoming Cup race, SVG had momentum, street savvy right from the start. Drop of the green, SVG surged into the lead, held strong on his road course expertise and experience. He brought calm control among the chaos of everything. Sheldon Creed showed impressive pace through the middle stages, even taking the Stage 1 win. Connor Zilic, and young and full of tenacity as he is, charged up deep from in the field, starting 30, clawing into the top 5 by halfway and keeping pace with the veterans. With 2 laps to go, SVG pulled a brilliant move around teammate Zilic at turn 1, securing the lead and holding firm to the finish. Final results, SVG, driving that JR Motorsports car, swept the stages and led 27 laps. Connor Zilic comes in second, strong runner-up after blazing through the field there. Sheldon Creed claimed third after some late race battles. It's really good from Sheldon Creed to see that, being a street course and everything. Pretty awesome. Championship impact on this one. This marks SVG's first Xfinity win of 2025 and 18th race highlight Chevy dominance. Chevrolet holds 16 of 18 wins this season. SVG, not a full-time Xfinity driver. Doesn't really matter for the playoff implications, right? But still something cool to see. Justin Allgaier keeps his spot atop the standings, followed by Austin Hill and Sam Mayer. Zilic climbs up to 5th with that runner-up result, so now he's just 75 points back from the lead. With 9 regular season races left, playoff spots are heating up. Creed, Hill, Mayer, Love, and Zilic all fighting for position. Quick stats on this one. Yeah, that kind of shakes out how the championship's laying out right now. So let's talk about the big boys in the Cup Series. This year, for the first time on the Cup side, we raced an entire dry event. No rain interruptions on Chicago's 2.2-mile street circuit. SVG started from the pole again, ends up securing another win, gives him 2 wins this season with the Mexico City road course win and now the win in Chicago. Pole to victory, SVG translated his pole into dominance. He led 26 to 75 laps, closing out the race just 0.9 seconds ahead of second place Ty Gibbs. Ty Gibbs held strong in second place, matching his career best Cup finish. Tyler Reddick pushed hard for third, delivering yet a solid result there. Michael McDowell took an early Stage 1 win, but then suffered a mechanical failure and dropped out. Ryan Blaney claimed Stage 2, but he faded in the final pushes as well. Danny Hamlin rebounded from the rear to finish up in P4, which is pretty good there. And then Kyle Busch rounded out the top 5, so congrats to him on that. What does this mean for the championship over at the Cup side of things? Well, SVG having 2 wins now in 2025, that puts him 5th overall in the points and directly in playoff contention, secured. I mean, this is what it's all about, right? We got Sonoma coming up, so what's it gonna mean for that? William Byron, despite leading going into Chicago, ended up finishing last, tightening the playoff grid with 4 drivers within 50 points of him. So here's the takeaway on this. SVG is fire on the street circuits. Now 2 for 2 this year, and only second driver to ever sweep both series in a single Chicago weekend. Road course specialists like Gibbs and Reddick are demonstrating strong championship form when the track turns get technical. Byron, Elliott, Larson, and Hamlin are all within striking distance. Next stop is Sonoma, which is another road course test. So we'll see some good stuff out of Gibbs and Reddick most likely. Don't count out some of the other guys, including SVG on that one, though. So, I mean, we'll see what happens with all of it.
Yeah, that's a very special stat. That's why I'm here, I guess. Justin took a massive chance on me to bring me over, and as I've said many times, these races are like a holiday to me. It's the ovals where I'm really focused and getting better and better, and I come here and there's no stress. That people probably think there's more stress and expectation on us, but I kind of just get excited by it and love driving, and it's the ovals where I know I'm getting better, and I'm not stressed about it and I'm not forcing it, but I love trying to progress and get better and better. But yeah, to be a foreigner here, there's not many of us who have broken into the sport and stayed here for too long, and pretty cool to be here, that's for sure.
Let's jump over and turn our attention to Formula One British Grand Prix. A damp and unpredictable day at Silverstone, patches of rain setting the tone for the day. Teams juggled dry tires, intermediates, and full wets through the race. Multiple safety cars reshuffled the field, made tired strategy absolutely critical as the weather swung back and forth. Key moments on this one: Max Verstappen grabbing the pole, but things unraveled quickly on race day. He spun on a restart, fell backwards. Lando Norris, starting from P3, navigated the tricky track perfectly, avoiding mistakes, and surged into the lead. Piastri led the most of the race, but then picked up a time penalty under the safety car, dropping him from first to second. And Hülkenberg's surprise podium. Nico Hülkenberg made a stunning comeback from mid-pack to claim his first ever podium finish in Formula One. I believe he's got 240-something races it took to get to this point. I can't remember the number exactly. I should have wrote it down. But just awesome to see Hülkenberg. The entire paddock was happy for him there. Career first podium finish after all these years. Lewis Hamilton came in fourth, and Max Verstappen in that Red Bull came in fifth, rounding out the top five. McLaren still solidifies its power this season with a 1-2 finish at their home Grand Prix. Piastri retains the lead in the championship, but Norris is now breathing right down his neck. Veteran breakthrough with Hülkenberg's maiden podium after years in the sport, adding a good feel-good highlight to the weekend. So congrats to him on that. Jump over and talk about a little bit of news real quick. There's not a whole lot to talk about this week. We covered all the F1 stuff on that other episode. Please check that out. Special guest and everything else. So as always, also like, share, subscribe, do all this stuff. Keep the momentum going. And we're on every platform. So wherever you like to get your motorsports news, highlights, all that, YouTube, just throw us on there too. Whatever you got, we'll take it. We'll take any kind of the love we can get. But news-wise, a whole lot's going on in the NASCAR world with the FRM 2311 saga and what it means for their charters. Basically, the injunctions were thrown out. They asked for an appeal. That was denied. Moving from there, there's a good chance we go into Sonoma this weekend with teams without charters. Financially, that is a huge blow, but 2311, and I don't know if, I imagine Front Row Motorsports is also in the same mindset, but 2311 did say that they have all intention of running, even if they lose their charters, through next season while they go through court and battle all this stuff. So charterless or not, it'll be interesting to see. They obviously have the Jordan money and all the sponsorships there so they can stay afloat, but that could have huge implications on the drivers. Tyler Reddick's probably the most wanted driver in the series if something falls from either of those teams. So something to watch out for. So let's keep an eye on all that. And let's jump into our history this week. This week, we're going to talk about Jeff Krosnoff. It's a story of talent and tragedy. A man who spent over a decade grinding through the ranks of global motorsports, chasing the dream, and he finally reached it just before fate intervened. On September 24th, 1964, in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and raised in La Canada, California, Jeff Krosnoff took the road less traveled. He didn't come from a family of racing royalty. Instead, his journey began with classic American dream, racing karts, dreaming of Indy and the Indianapolis 500. He attended UCLA, balancing classes and karting before turning professional in the late 1980s. But unlike many of his peers, Krosnoff didn't dive straight into Indy Lights or NASCAR. He crossed the Pacific. In 1989, Jeff Krosnoff took a massive leap and began racing in Formula 3000 and eventually Formula Nippon, Japan's premier single-seater championship at that time. And here's the kicker of it all. He became a star over there. In 1994, Krosnoff finished second overall in the Formula Nippon Championship, driving the highly regarded Nova engineering team. He scored multiple podiums and was revered in Japan, not just for his skill, but for his professionalism and humility. Krosnoff was so well regarded in Japan that he appeared in television commercials and became fluent in Japanese, something few Westerner drivers ever did. He even got the nickname the Gentleman Racer from Japanese fans and press. In Japan, Jeff also found his footing in endurance racing. He drove several times in the 24 Hours of Le Mans, including brutal LMP1 Toyota prototypes. Le Mans appearances in 94 and 95. His best results, second in class, fifth overall in the 1995 with Toyota Team Sard, driving the Toyota 94 C-V alongside Mauro Martini and Marco Apicella. But even with success abroad, Krosnoff's goal remained clear, racing in IndyCar. In 1996, at age 31, the dream finally came true. He signed with AW Racing, a small but respected kart team using Toyota engines, keeping his Toyota and Japan ties together there. 1996 Kart Championship, first race of the year, Homestead, Miami, March 3rd, 1996. His best finish was 15th place at Long Beach. where he ran competitively before a late race issue dropped him down in the order. Despite the team's struggle with the new Toyota engine, Krosnoff showed promise. He consistently outqualified more experienced teammates and was praised for his technical feedback. He worked harder than anyone. He was the last one to leave the garage and the first one to arrive. That's a quote from Steve Horn, who was a team manager at that time. But then came July 14th, 1996, the Molson Indy Toronto tight tree-lined street circuit in Toronto's Exhibition Place. It was Jeff's 11th start of the season. With just 3 laps to go while running mid-pack, Krosnoff's car tangled with Stefan Johansson on the Lakeshore Boulevard backstretch. What happened next was unthinkable. At nearly 200 miles an hour, Krosnoff's car launched over the tire barrier, struck a tree, and disintegrated on impact. Jeff was killed instantly. He was 32 years old at the time. Trackside Marshal Gary Arvin also lost his life in that. Krosnoff's death shook the racing world. He was just beginning to realize the dream he had worked so hard for in the paddock. He was seen as one of the most professional and approachable drivers, someone who had earned every inch of success the hard way. The Toyota Atlantic Series Rookie of the Year Award was renamed with Jeff Krosnoff's Memorial Award, honoring drivers who show sportsmanship, perseverance, and dedication, which were all his trademarks. At the time of his death, Krosnoff had driven 11 kart races, finishing 15th or better in 6 of them, despite mechanical challenges. His Toyota Le Mans podium remains one of the best finishes for an American and Japanese prototype effort during the mid-90s. Krosnoff's stories is not one of what-ifs. It's a story of commitment. He chased his dream across oceans, battled language barriers, cultural shifts, and mechanical gremlins, and he still made the show every time. In every sense, he lived his dream, even just for a moment. His spirit lives on in the paddocks of Japan, in the grandstands of Le Mans, and the hearts of young drivers who dream of doing it the hard way like he did. Thanks for taking time with us in this lap through history. If you found this episode meaningful, share it with a fellow racing fan, and please subscribe for more stories from historic hot laps. And that pretty much wraps us up for this week. So we've got some good racing coming up this weekend. Hopefully everyone's ready for that. We've got the doubleheader at Iowa, so many other things. We got a whole bunch of Formula One stuff. Like I said, please catch that episode, midweek emergency episode that we did with Joe Z. And yeah, from there, as always, please stay safe, think of each other, and thanks for tuning in.